The massive crystal dome of the Valdorian Imperial Palace glowed with purple light as Emperor Thexvar sat on his golden throne. The throne room was bigger than most city blocks on Earth, with walls that reached so high they disappeared into shadows. Around him stood the most powerful beings in 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. General Vextar stepped forward, his 6 arms carrying data tablets filled with disturbing news. His scaled face showed worry as he spoke to the Emperor. "My Lord, we have a problem. Our scouts have found something unexpected." The Emperor's red eyes focused on the general. For 300 years, the Valdorian Empire had conquered every world they wanted. No species had ever stopped them. Their ships were the fastest, their weapons the strongest, their armies the largest. What could possibly worry his best general? "Show me," the Emperor said in a voice that made the crystal walls vibrate. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a small blue and green planet spinning slowly in space. The planet looked peaceful and beautiful, with white clouds, covering parts of its surface. "This is Earth," General Vextar explained. "It sits in a quiet corner of the galaxy. Our scouts first found it 50 of their years ago. Back then, the creatures living there were very primitive. They had just learned to fly in simple machines." The Emperor looked bored. "So? We have conquered 1,000 primitive worlds. Why waste my time with this one?" "Because they are changing." "Too fast, my lord." The general touched his tablet and the hologram changed. Now it showed human cities with tall buildings, roads filled with vehicles, and ships floating on blue oceans. In just 50 years, they have built all of this. They have split the atom and made weapons that can destroy entire cities. They have sent machines to their moon and beyond. They are learning and growing faster than any species we have ever seen. Another alien stepped forward. This one was tall and thin, with blue skin and large black eyes. Minister Kelnoth was the smartest being in the Empire, and he rarely showed fear. But today, his voice shook as he spoke. "My lord, we have studied thousands of species. Most take thousands of years to go from simple tools to space travel. These humans did it in just a few hundred years. At this rate, in another 100 years, they might have weapons and ships as good as ours." The Emperor stood up from his throne. His huge body cast a shadow over everyone in the room. "Are you telling me that these tiny creatures on this small world might become a threat to the Valdorian Empire?" "Yes, my lord," both aliens said at the same time. The room fell silent. The Emperor walked to a window that showed the vast city below. Millions of Valdorian citizens lived in the capital, and billions more lived on thousands of worlds across the galaxy. The Empire had never faced a real challenge before. "What do our war computers say?" the Emperor asked. General Vextar touched his tablet again. Numbers and charts filled the air around them. "If we attack now, we can destroy them easily. Our war fleet would need only hours to wipe out all life on their planet. But if we wait even 10 more years, the cost would be much higher." "And if we wait 50 years?" the Emperor asked. The general's face turned pale. "The computers say we might lose." The Emperor turned around quickly, his robes flying behind him. "Lose? The mighty Valdorian Empire might lose to creatures who have not even left their own solar system." "They learn too fast, my lord," Minister Kelnoth said softly. "They take ideas and make them better. They fight wars against each other and learn new ways to kill. They never give up even when they should. The war computers say these traits make them very dangerous." The Emperor sat back down and thought for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Then we will not wait. We will crush them now while they are still weak. He pressed a button on his throne and the wall behind him opened. Admiral Krelmos walked in, his military uniform covered with medals. From 100 victories. The admiral was old for a Valdorian, but he had never lost a battle. Admiral, you will take the 47th Conquest Fleet to this world called Earth. You will give the humans one chance to surrender. If they refuse, you will destroy them all. Admiral, Krelmos looked at the hologram of Earth. It looked so small and helpless compared to the mighty ships of the Empire. How many ships should I take, my lord? 200 should be enough, the Emperor said. Make it quick and clean. I want this problem solved before it becomes a real threat. The Admiral bowed deeply. It will be done, my lord. When should we leave? Immediately. I want these humans to remember that the Valdorian Empire shows mercy to no one who might threaten us. As the meeting ended and the aliens left the throne room, none of them knew that their conversation was being watched. Far away on Earth, in a building in Seoul, South Korea, Dr. Dong-Yun Park sat in front of his computer screen, trying to make sense of strange signals his space telescope had picked up. Dong-Yun had been studying space for 20 years. He knew what normal space looked like, and he knew when something was wrong. For the past week, his instruments had been detecting weird energy patterns at the edge of the solar system. The patterns moved in ways that did not match any natural phenomenon he knew about. He printed out the data and looked at it again. The energy signatures were huge, much bigger than anything humans had ever created. They seemed to be moving in formation, like a group of ships traveling together. Dong-Yun picked up his phone and called his supervisor. Professor Kim, I think you need to see this data. Something very large is moving toward our solar system. The voice on the other end sounded tired. Dong-Yun, we have been through this before. Your equipment is old and sometimes picks up interference from satellites. There is nothing out there. But, Professor, these readings are different. They show massive energy sources moving in coordinated patterns. This cannot be interference. Email me the data, and I will look at it tomorrow. But I am sure it is nothing important. Dong-Yun hung up the phone and looked back at his computer screen. The energy signatures were getting stronger, which meant they were getting closer. He had a bad feeling that his supervisor was wrong. Very wrong. Outside his window, the city of Seoul sparkled with millions of lights. People walked the streets, ate dinner with their families, and went about their normal lives. None of them knew that 200 alien warships were heading toward Earth, or that the most powerful empire in the galaxy had decided that humanity needed to be destroyed. In 3 months, the Valdorian fleet would arrive. In 3 months, everything would change forever. 3 months before Dr. Dong-Yun Park detected the strange signals, a secret meeting took place in a building that did not officially exist. The building sat deep underground beneath Geneva, Switzerland, behind doors that required special codes and hand scanners to open. 24 people sat around a metal table in a room with no windows. These were the most powerful leaders on Earth, but none of their citizens knew they were there. President Min-Soo Kim of South Korea sat next to the President of the United States. The Prime Minister of Japan sat across from the Chancellor of Germany. All of them looked serious and worried. At the head of the table stood a woman in a military uniform. General Sarah Martinez had been keeping Earth's biggest secret for 15 years. The secret was so important that only these 24 people knew the whole truth. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Martinez said, Project Nightfall has reached the final phase. It is time to tell you what we have been building. She pressed a button on the table and the lights dimmed. A large screen came down from the ceiling and showed a picture that made everyone gasp. It was a spaceship, but not like anything the public had ever seen. It was sleek and silver, with no visible engines or weapons, floating in what looked like an underground hangar. "This is the Phantom," General Martinez explained. "It is one of 12 ships that we have built using technology that crashed on our planet 78 years ago." President Min-Soo Kim leaned forward. He had known about Project Nightfall, but seeing the actual ships was still amazing. "How fast can it travel?" "Faster than light," the general replied. "We reverse-engineered the alien propulsion system and made it better. These ships can travel from Earth to Mars in 6 hours." The Prime Minister of Japan raised her hand. "What about weapons?" General Martinez smiled for the first time that day. "We have weapons that can destroy objects the size of cities from thousands of miles away. We have energy shields that can stop nuclear missiles. We have fighters that can turn invisible." She pressed the button again, and the screen showed a different picture. This one was of a massive underground factory with hundreds of workers building strange machines. "For the past 20 years, we have been preparing for the day when we would meet whoever sent that first crashed ship. We knew they would come back eventually, and we knew they would not come in peace." The Chancellor of Germany looked confused. "How did you know they would be hostile?" "Because of this," General Martinez said, showing another picture. This one showed a metal object covered in strange symbols. This was the memory core from the crashed ship. It took our best scientists 15 years to decode it, but we finally learned what it contained. The room became very quiet as everyone waited to hear what the memory core had revealed. The ship belonged to scouts from something called the Valdorian Empire. The data showed that they had conquered hundreds of worlds, killing billions of innocent beings. They scout planets, study them, and then send fleets to destroy or enslave the populations. President Min-Soo Kim felt his stomach turn cold. "How long do we have?" "Our deep space sensors detected their fleet 3 days ago. They will arrive in approximately 3 months. The room exploded with worried voices as the leaders talked to each other in different languages. General Martinez waited for them to calm down before continuing. "The good news is that we are ready for them. Project Nightfall has been preparing for this exact situation. We have weapons, ships, and soldiers that the aliens cannot imagine." She showed them another picture. This one was of a young man in a pilot's uniform standing next to one of the silver ships. He was Korean, with short black hair and confident eyes. "This is Captain Jinwoo Choi, leader of Phantom Wing. He and 11 other pilots have been training for this mission their entire adult lives. They know our ships better than anyone, and they are ready to defend Earth." President Min-Soo Kim recognized something in the young pilot's face. It was the same look he had seen in soldiers who were willing to die for their country. "How old is he?" 28. He has been training since he was 18. All of our pilots have. They know that they are Earth's first and last line of defense." General Martinez showed them more pictures. Underground factories in different countries, all building weapons and ships in secret. Scientists working in hidden laboratories creating new technologies. Soldiers training in facilities that did not appear on any map. Every major country has been part of this project. We have shared our knowledge and resources to build the strongest defense possible. The aliens think they are coming to conquer a primitive world. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The president of Russia asked, "What about the people? Should we tell them what is coming?" General Martinez shook her head. "Not yet. If we tell them now, there will be panic. Cities will empty, governments will fall, and we will not be able to fight effectively. We will tell them when the battle begins, not before." She showed them one final picture. It was Earth as seen from space, beautiful and blue. But now they could see things that were not there before. Satellites that were actually weapons platforms. Space stations that looked like research facilities but were really military bases. "We have been hiding our true capabilities for decades," General Martinez said. "Every space mission, every satellite launch, every scientific project has had a secret military purpose. The aliens think they are attacking a world with primitive rockets and nuclear weapons. They do not know about our energy cannons, our faster-than-light ships, or our quantum torpedoes." President Min-Soo Kim stood up, slowly. As the leader of one of the most advanced countries on Earth, he understood the magnitude of what they had accomplished. "How sure are you that we can win?" General Martinez looked directly at him. "Mr. President, we have taken their own technology and made it better. We have weapons they stopped using centuries ago because they thought no one could improve them. We have pilots who have been dreaming of this fight since they were children. Most importantly, we are fighting for our home, our families, and our future. They are just following orders from an emperor who has never lost a battle." She paused and looked around the room at all the world leaders. "We will not just win, Mr. President. We will send a message to the entire galaxy that Earth is not to be underestimated." As the meeting ended and the leaders prepared to return to their countries, each of them carried the same thought. In 3 months, everything would change. Either humanity would remain free, or they would all be dead. There was no middle ground when facing an empire that had conquered 1,000 worlds. But deep in the Swiss mountains, in facilities hidden from the world, Captain Jin-Woo Choi and his fellow pilots continued their training. They practiced flying ships that could travel faster than light, firing weapons that could destroy asteroids, and fighting enemies they had never seen but had been preparing to face their whole lives. The Valdorian Empire was coming to Earth expecting an easy victory. They were about to discover that humanity had a very different plan. Admiral Krellmaw stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Destroyer of Worlds, as 200 Valdorian warships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Each ship was massive, longer than the tallest buildings on Earth, and armed with weapons that could crack planets in half. The Admiral was old by Valdorian standards, but his mind was still sharp. He had conquered 47 worlds for the Empire, and Earth would be his 48th. Through the massive viewing window of his bridge, he could see the small yellow star that the humans called their sun. "Report!" he commanded his bridge crew. Commander Veclon checked his instruments. "We have arrived exactly where planned, Admiral. The human solar system is spread out before us. Initial scans show the third planet has the largest population." Admiral Krellmoss walked to the tactical display that showed the entire solar system. It looked exactly like what their scouts had reported. A few small rocky planets close to the star, a large gas giant farther out, and several smaller worlds at the edges. Nothing that suggested advanced military technology. "What about their defenses?" the Admiral asked. "Very primitive, sir. We detect some chemical rockets and basic satellites. Their most advanced weapons appear to be nuclear missiles, but they are slow and easy to destroy. There are no energy shields, no plasma cannons, no faster-than-light ships." The Admiral smiled, showing his sharp teeth. This would be easier than he had expected. "What about their population?" Approximately 8 billion humans, sir. They are spread across all the continents of their world. Most live in large cities that would be easy targets for orbital bombardment. Admiral Krellmoss nodded with satisfaction. 8 billion was a large number, but the Valdorian Empire had destroyed larger populations before. Begin the standard approach, send the surrender message, and give them 24 hours to respond. On Earth, Dr. Dong-Yun Park was working late, in his observatory in Seoul when every alarm in the building started ringing at once. His computer screens lit up with readings that made his heart race. The energy signatures he had been tracking for weeks were now clearly visible, and they were huge. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number he had memorized but never called. It was a direct line to the president's office, a number given to him years ago by someone who said it was for emergencies only. "This is Dr. Park at Seoul Observatory," he said when someone answered. "The energy signatures I reported are now in our solar system. I count at least 200 large objects, each one bigger than our largest ships." The voice on the other end was calm and professional. "Dr. Park, please remain at your station. Someone will contact you shortly." 15 minutes later, President Min-Soo Kim called him directly. "Dr. Park, this is President Kim. I need you to send me all of your data immediately. Also, I need you to listen carefully. What you are seeing is not a natural phenomenon. You are looking at alien spacecraft." Dr. Dong-Yun Park felt his legs become weak. He sat down heavily in his chair. "Alien spacecraft? Are you sure?" "Very sure. We have been preparing for this day for many years. Your job now is to track their movements and report everything you see. Can you do that?" "Yes, Mr. President. But what are they doing here?" President Min-Soo Kim was quiet for a moment. "We believe they are here to invade Earth." At the same time, communication centers around the world started receiving the same message. It came in perfect English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and dozens of other languages. The message was simple, but terrifying. "People of Earth, we are the Valdorian Empire. We rule 3 spiral arms of this galaxy and have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your planet has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally. All military forces must stand down. All governments must dissolve. All resistance will be met with total destruction. If you comply, some of you will be allowed to live as servants. If you resist, all life on your planet will be eliminated. You have been warned." The message played on every radio station, every television channel, and every computer connected to the internet. Within minutes, panic began to spread across Earth as people realized that humanity was no longer alone in the universe and that the visitors were not friendly. But in a secret bunker beneath the Swiss mountains, President Min-Soo Kim and the otherworld leaders were already implementing their response plan. General Martinez stood at a control panel that connected to military bases hidden around the world. "Activate Project Nightfall," she commanded. "All units to battle stations." Across the globe, hidden doors opened in mountainsides, deserts, and ocean floors. Underground hangars that had been concealed for decades revealed sleek fighter craft unlike anything the public had ever seen. Orbital platforms that had been disguised as research satellites suddenly powered up weapon systems that could destroy small moons. In the Sahara Desert, Captain Jinwoo Choi and his 11 fellow pilots climbed into ships that had been built using technology reverse-engineered from alien crashes. Their ships were smaller than the massive Valdorian warships, but they were faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with weapons that the aliens had not seen in centuries. "Phantom Wing, this is Control," came the voice in their headphones. "The Enemy fleet is holding position at the edge of the system. Prepare for combat operations. Captain Jinwoo Choi checked his instruments one final time. His ship, Phantom 1, was ready for battle. Its quantum engines could push it faster than light. Its stealth systems could make it invisible to alien sensors, and its weapons could punch through alien armor like paper. "Control, this is Phantom Leader," he replied. "We are ready." Meanwhile, in Seoul, Dr. Sunmi Jung, a linguistics expert who had been secretly working on alien languages for 15 years, was analyzing the surrender message. She had learned to read Valdorian text from the crashed ship's computer, and she understood far more than the aliens realized. "They think we are completely primitive," she reported to President Min-Soo Kim. "Their message contains references to teaching the primitive humans their place and quick elimination of resistance. They have no idea what they are facing." President Min-Soo Kim looked at the reports coming in from around the world. Every hidden military base was ready. Every secret weapon was powered up. Every pilot was in position. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment. "Send our response," he told Dr. Sunmi Jang. The response that went back to the Valdorian fleet was very different from what they expected. Instead of surrender or defiance, Earth sent mathematical equations, star charts, and scientific data that proved humans understood advanced physics and astronomy. Admiral Krellmoss read the response with growing confusion. "What does this mean?" he asked his science officer. "Sir, these equations describe faster-than-light travel, quantum mechanics, and energy manipulation. This level of knowledge should be impossible for a primitive species." The Admiral stared at the data. Either the humans were much more advanced than their scouts had reported, or they had somehow learned from other alien contact. Either way, this was not going according to plan. "Sir," Commander Veclon reported from his station, "we are receiving another message from Earth." "What does it say?" "It says, 'We know who you are. We know why you came. We are ready.'" Admiral. Krellmoss felt something he had not experienced in hundreds of years of conquest. Uncertainty. The humans were not responding like any primitive species he had ever encountered. They were not panicking, not begging for mercy, not trying to negotiate. They sounded like they were preparing for war. "Increase sensor sweeps," he ordered. "I want to know everything about their military capabilities before we attack." But the sensors showed the same thing as before. Primitive rockets, basic satellites, and simple nuclear weapons. There was no sign of the advanced technology that the humans' message suggested they possessed. Admiral Krellmoss did not know that humanity's greatest weapons were hidden from his sensors, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. He did not know that Earth's defenders had been training for this battle their entire lives. Most importantly, he did not know that the humans had turned alien technology against its creators. The Valdorian Empire was about to learn that conquering Earth would not be like conquering any other world they had ever faced. Admiral Krellmoss stood on the bridge of his flagship, growing more impatient with each passing hour. The humans had been given 24 hours to surrender, and that time was now up. Their response had been strange: mathematical equations and star charts instead of surrender or defiance. But now it was time for action. "Commander Veclon, begin Phase 1 of the attack," the Admiral ordered. Commander Veclon activated the tactical display that showed all 200 ships of the Valdorian fleet. "Sir, should we send the entire fleet?" Admiral Krellmoss considered. This standard Valdorian tactics called for overwhelming force against primitive worlds. Send everything at once to demonstrate power and break enemy morale quickly. But something about the human response bothered him. No, he decided. Send half the fleet. Keep the other 100 ships in reserve. These humans seem different from our usual conquests." "Very wise, sir. Which ships should advance?" The admiral looked at the tactical display. The fleet was arranged in standard formation, heavy battleships in the center, destroyers on the flanks, and support vessels in the rear. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built, armed with plasma cannons that could melt mountains and protected by energy shields that could stop nuclear weapons. "Send all destroyers and half the battleships. 100 ships should be more than enough to handle whatever primitive defenses they have." Commander Vekilon selected the ships and began transmitting orders. Across the fleet, captains received their instructions and began moving their vessels toward the small blue world that hung in space like a jewel. The advancing ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of Earth's sun. Each captain was confident in their overwhelming superiority. They had conquered worlds with much larger populations and more advanced technology. Earth would fall within hours. On the bridge of the destroyer Stellar Fang, Captain Zekmar watched Earth grow larger on his viewing screen. The planet looked peaceful and defenseless, with white clouds swirling over blue oceans and green continents. "Any sign of their military response?" he asked his sensor officer. "Nothing significant, sir. We detect some movement of their primitive aircraft, but no vessels leaving the planet's atmosphere. They appear to be in total disarray." Captain Zekmar nodded with satisfaction. This was how it always went. Primitive species either surrendered immediately or fell into panic when faced with Valdorian might. Either way, the result was always the same. But Captain Zekmar was wrong about the panic. On Earth, the response was calm and coordinated. In command centers hidden deep underground, military leaders from every major nation watched the alien fleet approach and prepared to reveal humanity's greatest secret. In the secret facility beneath Geneva, President Min-Soo Kim stood with General Martinez as they watched the tactical display showing the advancing alien ships. Red dots representing enemy vessels moved steadily toward Earth, while green dots showed human defensive positions that the aliens could not detect. "How long until they reach optimal range?" President Min-Soo Kim asked. 18 minutes, General," Martinez replied. "Our orbital weapons platforms are fully charged and ready. Phantom Wing is in position. All ground-based systems are online." President Min-Soo Kim looked at the display showing humanity's hidden military assets. After decades of secret preparation, they were about to find out if their plans would work. "And you are certain they cannot detect our ships?" "Completely certain, sir. The stealth technology we reverse-engineered from their own crashed vessel makes our fighters invisible to their sensors. They will not see us coming until it is too late." Far above Earth's atmosphere, Captain Jinwoo Choi sat in the cockpit of Phantom 1, watching the alien fleet through sensors that could see across half the solar system. His ship hung motionless in space, hidden from alien detection by stealth systems that bent light and energy around his craft. "Phantom Wing, this is Phantom Leader," he spoke into his communication system. "Enemy vessels are now within optimal strike range. Maintain stealth protocols and wait for my signal." Around him, 11 other pilots in identical ships confirmed their readiness. They had trained for this moment for years, practicing attack patterns and combat maneuvers in simulators that used real alien tactical data. Now they would find out if their preparation was enough. Each pilot checked their weapons one final time. Their ships carried quantum torpedoes that could tear through alien armor, energy cannons that fired concentrated antimatter, and disruption mines that could disable entire enemy fleets. Every weapon had been reverse-engineered from alien technology and improved with human engineering. "Phantom 2 ready," reported his wingman, Captain Su-Young Lee. "Phantom 3 ready," came the next voice. One by one, all 12 pilots confirmed their readiness for battle. On Earth's surface, in a laboratory hidden beneath the mountains of Colorado, Dr. Hyejin Lee made final adjustments to the planetary defense grid. She had spent 15 years perfecting weapon systems that combined alien power cores with human precision targeting. "Orbital Platform Alpha is showing full charge," she reported to the command center in Geneva. "All defensive satellites are online and ready." Dr. Hyejin Lee looked at her computer screens, showing the status of humanity's hidden orbital defenses. What the aliens thought were simple research satellites were actually massive energy cannons capable of destroying ships the size of cities. The platforms had been placed in orbit over many years, disguised as scientific equipment and communication. "Relays. Energy output is at maximum capacity," she continued. "We can fire continuously for 30 minutes before needing to recharge." In Seoul, Dr. Dong-Yun Park tracked the alien fleet with instruments that were far more advanced than the aliens realized. His observatory was connected to a global network of sensors that could detect alien ships from millions of miles away. "Therese, lead ships are now passing the moon's orbit," he reported. "They are maintaining standard attack formation with no apparent concern for defensive action." Dr. Sun-Mi Jang, who had been monitoring alien communications, looked up from her translation equipment. "They are broadcasting to each other about how easy this conquest will be. They expect to destroy all human resistance within 6 hours. The alien fleet continued its steady approach toward Earth. From their perspective, they were facing a primitive world with no real defenses. Their sensors showed only basic satellites and simple aircraft. There was no sign of energy weapons, force fields, or faster-than-light ships. Admiral Krelmos, watching from his flagship at the edge of the solar system, felt confident in his strategy. 100 ships were more than enough to handle anything. The humans might attempt. The remaining 100 ships would serve as a reserve in the unlikely event that something went wrong. "Time to orbital bombardment range?" he asked Commander Veclon. 14 minutes, sir. Captain Zekmar reports that his destroyer wing is ready to begin elimination of human military targets. Excellent. Tell all ships to prepare for standard orbital bombardment. Target their major cities first to break their will to resist. But as the alien ships approached Earth, they were moving into a carefully prepared trap. Every aspect of their attack had been anticipated and planned for. Their ships were following exactly the route that human strategists had predicted. Their formation was exactly what human pilots had trained to attack. Captain Jinwoo Choi watched his tactical display as the alien ships moved closer to Earth. The enemy was now less than 1 million kilometers away, close enough for him to see individual ships with his enhanced sensors. "All units, this is Phantom Leader," he transmitted to his squadron. "Enemy ships are approaching optimal engagement range. Prepare for attack sequence Alpha." His pilots confirmed receipt of the order. Each of them selected their primary targets from among the approaching enemy ships. They had studied alien ship designs for years and knew exactly where to hit for maximum damage. On the surface of Earth, in the secret command center beneath Geneva, President Min-Soo Kim watched the final moments before the battle would begin. The alien fleet was now close enough that people on Earth could see them as bright stars moving across the sky. "Mr. President," General Martinez said quietly, "it is time to show them what humanity is really capable of." President Min-Soo Kim nodded. After decades of preparation, after years of secrecy, After months of waiting, the moment had finally arrived. The Valdorian Empire thought they were attacking a primitive world. They were about to discover that Earth had been preparing for this war longer than they could imagine. "Give the order," President Minsu Kim said. General Martinez activated the communication system that connected to every human military unit around the world and in space. "All units, this is Geneva Command. Operation Nightfall is now active. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The moment that would change the galaxy forever began quietly. Captain Zekmar stood on the bridge of the destroyer Stellar Fang, watching Earth grow larger on his main screen. The planet looked peaceful and helpless, just another primitive world, waiting to be conquered. "Begin orbital bombardment sequence," he ordered his weapons officer. "Target the largest population centers first." "Yes, sir. Charging main plasma cannons." Captain Zekmar smiled. In a few minutes, the major cities of Earth would be nothing but smoking craters. The humans would see the power of the Valdorian Empire and surrender immediately, just like every other species they had encountered. But as his weapons charged, something impossible happened. The empty space behind his ship suddenly filled with 12 sleek silver fighters that seemed to appear from nowhere. Captain Jinwoo Choi and Phantom Wing had dropped their stealth systems and were now visible, their ships moving faster than anything the Valdorians had ever seen. "What in the name of the Empire is that?" Captain Zekmar shouted, staring at his tactical display in shock. Before his crew could answer, Phantom 1 fired its first quantum torpedo. The torpedo moved at nearly the speed of light, hitting the destroyer's rear shield generator before the aliens could react. The explosion tore through the ship's armor like it was made of paper. The Stellar Fang shuddered and began to lose power. "Impossible!" Captain Zekmar screamed. "How can primitive humans have weapons like that?" He never got an answer. Captain Soo-Young Lee and Phantom 2 fired her energy cannons directly into the hole that Jinwoo's torpedo had created. The concentrated antimatter beam sliced through the destroyer's engine core, causing a massive explosion that lit up space like a new star. The Stellar Fang broke apart in seconds, its crew of 300 aliens dying before they understood what had killed them. At the same time, across the advancing alien fleet, similar scenes played out as human pilots attacked with weapons that should not have existed. Phantom 3 and Phantom 4 worked together to destroy a battleship twice, the size of their fighters. Phantom 5 used disruption mines to disable an entire squadron of enemy ships. In 12 minutes, Phantom Wing destroyed or disabled 30 alien vessels without losing a single human ship. But the real surprise was still coming. On Earth, Dr. Hyejin Lee sat at her control station and watched the alien fleet through sensors that the aliens could not detect. "Orbital platforms are locked onto targets," she reported to the command center in Geneva. "All systems show green." "Fire when ready," came the order from General Martinez. Dr. Hyejin Lee pressed a single button, and humanity revealed its greatest secret. Around Earth's orbit, 47 objects that the aliens thought were simple research satellites suddenly powered up weapon systems that made their plasma cannons look like toys. These were energy cannons that used alien fusion cores, but controlled by human targeting computers that were far more accurate than anything the Valdorians had ever built. The first beam lanced out from orbital platform Alpha, a concentrated stream of energy that crossed the distance between Earth and the alien fleet in less than a second. It struck the battleship Eternal Victory directly in its main reactor, causing an explosion that destroyed not only that ship, but two smaller vessels flying beside it. Platform Beta fired next, its beam cutting through 3 destroyers in a single shot. Platform Gamma targeted the alien flagship in the attacking force, punching a hole through its command section and killing everyone on the bridge. Within 5 minutes, the orbital platforms had destroyed 40 alien ships and damaged dozens more. The carefully organized Valdorian attack formation dissolved into chaos as captains tried to understand what was happening to their fleet. Commander Veclon, monitoring the battle from Admiral Krelmos's flagship at the edge of the solar system, stared at his tactical display in complete shock. The symbols representing their ships were disappearing faster than he could count them. "Admiral!" he called out, his voice shaking with panic. "We are losing ships at an impossible rate. The humans have weapons we never detected." Admiral Krelmos rushed to the tactical display. In his 300 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. The humans were destroying Valdorian ships faster than his computers could process the battle data. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. 73 destroyed, 22 severely damaged, Commander Veclon reported. "Sir, these weapons are based on our own technology, but they are more powerful than anything we currently use." Admiral Krelmos felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The humans were not just fighting back. They were winning, easily. "Recall all ships immediately," he ordered. "Full retreat." But it was too late for most of the attacking fleet. Captain Jinwoo Choi and his squadron had regrouped and were now hunting the surviving alien ships like wolves chasing prey. His pilots had trained for years to fight faster, smarter, and more aggressively than any alien species. Now that training was paying off. "Phantom 7, take the 2 destroyers on the left," he commanded. "Phantom 9 and 10, hit that battleship's engine section. Everyone else, follow my lead on the command ship." The human fighters moved through space like they were dancing, dodging alien weapons fire while delivering devastating attacks of their own. Their ships were smaller and faster than anything in the Valdorian fleet, and their pilots flew with a skill that amazed even their enemies. Captain Yemen Park in Phantom 8 destroyed a Valdorian cruiser with a single torpedo strike to its ammunition storage. Captain Taehyun Kim in Phantom 11 used his energy cannons to disable a destroyer's weapons, then watched as an orbital platform finished it off with a precision beam strike. The aliens who survived the first wave of attacks tried to retreat, but the human fighters were faster. One by one, the surviving ships were hunted down and destroyed as they attempted to flee back to their main fleet. In the secret command center beneath Geneva, President Min-Soo Kim watched the battle results appear on the main display. The numbers seemed impossible, but they were real. Of the 100 alien ships that had attacked Earth, 96 had been destroyed and 4 were severely damaged and drifting powerless in space. "Casualties?" he asked General Martinez. "0 human ships lost," she reported with satisfaction. "Minor damage to 3 fighters, all pilots uninjured." President Min-Soo Kim felt a mixture of relief and amazement. Decades of secret preparation had paid off beyond their wildest hopes. The aliens had expected to find a primitive world with no real defenses. Instead, they had found weapons and tactics that their empire had never encountered. Dr. Sunmi Jang, who had been monitoring alien communications throughout the battle, looked up from her translation equipment with a shocked expression. "Mr. President, you need to hear this," she said. "I am intercepting communications between the surviving alien ships and their main fleet. They are calling us impossible humans and saying our weapons should not exist." She played a recording of alien voices speaking in their own language, followed by her translation. Command. This is Captain Rex Vorth of the damaged cruiser. Death's Hand. The humans have weapons based on our own technology, but improved beyond our current capabilities. They fight like no species we have ever encountered. Request immediate evacuation before the humans hunt down our remaining ships. President Min-Soo Kim listened to the fear in the alien captain's voice and realized that something fundamental had changed. For the first time in centuries, the Valdorian Empire had been defeated in battle. Not just delayed or slowed down, but completely and utterly crushed. "What are our pilots reporting?" he asked. General Martinez activated the communication link to Phantom Wing. Captain Jinwoo Choi's voice came through clearly, calm and professional, despite having just won the most important battle in human history. Geneva Command. This is Phantom. Leader, all enemy ships in Earth orbit have been neutralized. We are now pursuing the 4 damaged ships attempting to retreat toward their main fleet. Recommend we prevent any survivors from reporting our capabilities to their commanders. General Martinez looked at President Min-Soo Kim, who nodded grimly. They had revealed humanity's secret weapons to defend Earth. Now they had to make sure that secret remained safe. Phantom Leader, you are authorized to destroy all retreating enemy vessels. No survivors. Understood, Geneva Command. Phantom Wing is moving to intercept. As the human fighters accelerated toward the fleeing alien ships, Admiral Krelmos watched his attack force being systematically annihilated. In less than 30 minutes, the humans had destroyed nearly his entire advance fleet and were now hunting down the survivors. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Krelmos began to wonder if the Valdorian Empire had finally met an enemy it could not defeat. What happened next could not be called a battle. It was a hunt, and the humans were the hunters. Captain Rex Vorth, commanding the damaged cruiser Death's Hand, watched his instruments with growing terror as 12 human fighters closed in on his ship and the 3 other survivors of the devastating attack. His vessel was badly damaged, its shields failing, and engines running at only 30% power. "Communications officer, send a message to the main fleet," he ordered. "Tell them the humans have weapons we cannot match. Tell them to run." "Sir, our long-range communications were destroyed in the attack. We cannot reach Admiral Krelmos." "Captain," Rex Vorth looked at his tactical display and saw the human fighters getting closer. They moved through space like predators, fast and deadly. His ship and the other survivors were wounded prey being stalked by creatures that showed no mercy. "How long until the human fighters intercept us?" he asked. 3 minutes, sir." Captain Rex Vorth had fought in dozens of battles for the Valdorian Empire. He had destroyed entire cities, conquered proud civilizations, and never shown mercy to defeated enemies. Now he was about to learn what it felt like to be on the receiving end of such treatment. "All ships prepare for desperate action," he broadcast to the other 3 survivors. "We cannot outrun them, so we must try to fight." But even as he gave the order, Captain Rex Vorth knew it was hopeless. His ships were damaged and his crews were demoralized. The humans had already proven that their weapons could destroy healthy Valdorian vessels with ease. What chance did crippled ships have? Captain Jinwoo Choi led Phantom Wing toward the fleeing alien ships with cold determination. These aliens had come to destroy Earth, to kill billions of innocent people. Now they would pay the price for that decision. "Phantom Wing, target the largest ship first," he ordered. "Use quantum torpedoes for quick kills. We need to finish this before they can send any messages to their main fleet." "Understood, Phantom Leader," came the replies from his 11 fellow. pilots. Captain Su-Young Lee in Phantom 2 had already locked her weapons onto the Death's Hand. Target acquired. Firing torpedoes. The quantum torpedoes streaked through space at incredible speed, their warheads designed to tear apart alien armor at the molecular level. When they hit the Death's Hand, the cruiser simply came apart like a toy being broken by an angry child. Captain Rexavorth had just enough time to see his ship's hull cracking open around him before the explosion ended his life and the lives of his 800 crew members. Phantom 3 and 4 worked together to destroy another damaged destroyer, their energy cannons cutting through its weakened shields like they did not exist. Phantom 5 launched a spread of disruption mines that disabled the third ship's engines, leaving it helpless in space. The last surviving alien ship, a destroyer called Fist of Iron, tried to fight back. Its captain, Morketh, ordered his remaining weapons to fire at the human fighters even though he knew it was pointless. "At least we will die fighting," he told his crew. But the human fighters were too fast and too skilled. They dodged the alien plasma bolts effortlessly while returning fire with weapons that hit their targets every time. Captain Tae-hyun Kim in T. Phantom 11 put 3 energy cannon shots directly into the destroyer's bridge, killing Captain Morketh and his entire command crew. The helpless ship drifted in space for 30 seconds before Captain Hyman Park in Phantom 8 finished it off with a torpedo strike that reduced it to glowing debris. In less than 5 minutes, all 4 surviving ships from the alien attack force had been destroyed. Not a single alien had escaped to tell their main fleet what had happened. Admiral Krell Moss, watching from his flagship at the edge of the solar system, stared at his tactical display in complete shock. The symbols representing his entire advance force had disappeared. 100 ships and over 50,000 crew members were gone. "Report!" he demanded, though his voice came out as barely a whisper. Commander Veclon checked his instruments, with shaking hands. "Admiral, all ships from the advance force have been destroyed. We are receiving no communications from any survivors." "That is impossible. 100 ships cannot be destroyed so quickly by primitive humans." "Sir, our long-range sensors confirm it. The humans used weapons based on our own technology, but far more advanced than anything our current ships carry. They also had fighters that appeared from nowhere and moved faster than our best interceptors." Admiral Krellmoss walked to the great viewing window of his bridge and looked toward the small blue world that had just destroyed half his fleet. For 300 years, he had been the terror of the galaxy. Entire civilizations had surrendered at the mere mention of his name. Now a species that was supposed to be primitive had made him look like a fool. "What are your orders, Admiral?" Commander Veclon asked quietly. Admiral Krellmoss considered his options. He still had 100 ships left, but after seeing what the humans had done to his advance force, he was no longer certain that would be enough. The humans had clearly been preparing for this battle much longer than anyone had realized. Send a message to the human homeworld, he decided. Tell them that Admiral Krellmoss, commander of the 47th Conquest Fleet, wishes to discuss terms. Commander Veclon looked surprised. "Terms, sir? Are we surrendering?" "No," the Admiral said grimly. "But we are no longer dealing with primitives. We need to learn more about their capabilities before we commit our remaining ships." The message was transmitted toward Earth, but it never received a reply. In the secret command center beneath, Geneva, President Min-Soo Kim and General Martinez discussed their next move. "Should we respond to their message?" the President asked. General Martinez shook her head. "Sir, our analysis shows that they still have 100 ships remaining. If we negotiate now, they will learn more about our capabilities and might find ways to counter them. We need to finish this fight while we still have the advantage of surprise. Dr. Hyejin Lee, monitoring the orbital defense platforms, reported that all systems were recharged and ready for another battle. Mr. President, our weapons are more effective than we hoped. We can destroy their entire remaining fleet if they come within range. President Min-Soo Kim looked at the tactical display showing the alien ships waiting at the edge of the solar system. These invaders had come to Earth planning to kill billions of innocent people. They deserved no mercy. General Martinez, what is the maximum range of our fighters? Our ships can reach the edge of the solar system and return, sir. Captain Choi and his pilots are ready for another mission. President Min-Soo Kim made his decision. Then we go to them. Launch all available fighters and move the orbital platforms to extended range. I want every alien ship destroyed. Captain Jin Woo Choi received his new orders while his squadron was returning from their successful hunt of the fleeing alien ships. Instead of landing for rest and resupply, Phantom Wing was ordered to prepare for an attack on the main alien fleet. All pilots, this is Phantom Leader, he transmitted to his squadron. We have new orders. The alien main fleet is waiting at the edge of the system with 100 ships. Command wants them all destroyed. Captain Soo-Young Lee responded first. 12 fighters against 100 ships, sir? Those are not good odds. Captain Jinwoo. Choi smiled grimly. Those aliens thought 100 ships against an entire planet were good odds. They were wrong about that, too. As Phantom Wing accelerated toward the edge of the solar system, more human fighters launched from hidden bases around Earth. Squadrons that had been kept in reserve were now joining the battle. By the time the attack reached the alien fleet, 60 human fighters would be participating. Admiral Krellmoss watched his sensors as small, fast objects began moving toward his fleet from the direction of Earth. His tactical computers identified them as fighters, but they were moving faster than any fighter should be able to travel. How many? He asked. 60 contacts, sir, all moving at speeds that exceed our best interceptors. Admiral Krellmoss realized that the humans were not going to negotiate. They were coming to finish what they had started. The species that was supposed to be primitive and helpless was hunting the mighty Valdorian Empire like animals. All ships, prepare for battle, he ordered. Maximum shields, all weapons ready. Show these humans what happens when they challenge the Empire. But deep in his hearts, Admiral Krellmoss knew that his fleet was about to be destroyed by creatures he had completely underestimated. The humans were not just defending their world, they were eliminating a threat with the efficiency of experienced killers. The final battle was about to begin, and for the first time in his long career, Admiral Krellmoss was not confident that the Valdorian Empire would win. Admiral Krellmoss stood on the bridge of his flagship, Destroyer of Worlds, watching 60 human fighters approach his remaining fleet of 100 ships. The tactical display showed the humans moving in perfect formation, their fighters arranged, in groups that suggested careful planning and extensive training. Distance to human fighters? He asked. 2 million kilometers and closing fast, Admiral, Commander Veclon reported. They will be in weapons range in 8 minutes. Admiral Krellmoss looked at his fleet arranged in defensive formation around his flagship. These were the most powerful warships in the Valdorian Empire, each one capable of destroying entire cities. Surely 60 small fighters could not pose a serious threat to ships this large and well-armed. But he had thought the same thing about his advance force, and those ships were now floating debris. All ships target the human fighters the moment they come within range, he ordered. Concentrate all fire on the lead squadron. Destroy them quickly before they can use those impossible weapons. Captain Jinwoo Choi led the human attack force toward the alien fleet with cold determination. Beside Phantom Wing, 5 other squadrons of human fighters approached their targets. Each pilot had trained for years for this moment, and each one knew that the fate of Earth depended on their success. "All squadrons, this is Phantom Leader," he transmitted. "Attack Pattern Delta. Hit their command ships first, then work outward. Remember, these aliens came here to kill everyone we love. Show them no mercy." The human fighters suddenly split into 6 different groups, each one attacking the alien fleet from a different angle. This was not the chaotic charge that Admiral Krellmoss had expected. It was a coordinated assault by pilots who knew exactly what they were doing. Captain Soo-Young Lee led her squadron directly toward the alien flagship, her ship moving so fast that the alien gunners could barely track her. When she fired her quantum torpedoes, they struck the massive ship's shield generators before the aliens could react. The flagship's shields flickered and failed just as Captain Jinwoo Choi arrived with his attack run. His energy cannons punched holes through the ship's armor, and his follow-up torpedo strike penetrated deep into the vessel's interior. "Impossible!" Admiral Krellmoss shouted as explosions rocked his ship. "How can such small fighters carry weapons this powerful?" Commander Veclon was thrown to the deck as another explosion shook the bridge. When he struggled back to his feet, he saw that half his control panels were dark. "Admiral, we have lost main power. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 12. Around the flagship, the rest of the human attack was devastating the Valdorian fleet with surgical precision. Each squadron had been assigned specific targets, and they were destroying alien ships faster than the enemy could respond. Captain Hyemin Park led Storm Squadron against the alien battleships on the fleet's right flank. Her pilots moved like dancers, dodging plasma cannon fire while delivering torpedo strikes that cracked open the massive alien vessels like eggs. The battleship Eternal Domination took 6 torpedo hits in 30 seconds and broke apart in an explosion that lit up space for millions of kilometers. The battleship Galactic Crusher tried to ram Captain Park's fighter, but she was too fast and too skilled. She led the alien ship into the firing line of her wingman, who destroyed it with energy cannon fire. On the left flank, Lightning Squadron was having similar success against the alien destroyers. Captain Taehyun Kim and his pilots had studied alien ship designs for years, and they knew exactly where each vessel's weak points were located. "Lightning 3, hit that destroyer's engine section," Captain Kim ordered. "Lightning 5, target the weapons array on that cruiser." The alien ships tried to fight back, but their crews were demoralized and confused. They had never faced an enemy that moved this fast or hit this hard. Their plasma cannons were designed to destroy large, slow targets, not small fighters that seemed to dance around their weapons fire. Captain Morheck, commanding the destroyer, Steel Talon, watched 3 of his sister ships explode in rapid succession. His own vessel was damaged and losing power, but he refused to give up. "All weapons, concentrate fire on that lead human fighter," he ordered, pointing at Captain Kim's ship. Every functioning weapon on his destroyer opened fire at once, filling space with deadly plasma bolts. But Captain Kim had been expecting this response. He rolled his fighter to the side, accelerated suddenly, then dove beneath the alien ship's firing arc. His return fire was devastating. 3 torpedo strikes hit the Steel Talon's ammunition storage, causing a chain reaction that tore the destroyer apart from the inside. Meanwhile, President Min-Soo Kim watched the battle from the command center beneath Geneva. The tactical display showed alien ships disappearing at an incredible rate as the human fighters systematically destroyed the invading fleet. "Casualty report?" he asked General Martinez. 2 human fighters damaged, no pilots lost, she replied. Alien losses are, at 67 ships destroyed, 23 severely damaged. Dr. Hyejin Lee reported from her monitoring station. Mr. President, our orbital platforms are now in range of the alien fleet. Should we join the attack? President Min-Soo Kim considered this. The human fighters were clearly winning, but he wanted to send a message that would be remembered across the galaxy. Earth was not just defending itself, it was demonstrating power that would make other alien empires think twice about attacking humanity. Fire all platforms, he ordered. I want nothing left of their fleet. Back in space, Admiral Krellmoss desperately tried to save what remained of his command. His flagship was heavily damaged, and many of his ships were already destroyed, but he still had enough vessels to potentially retreat and warn the Empire about Earth's capabilities. All ships, prepare for emergency hyperspace jump, he ordered. We must escape to warn the Emperor about these humans. But Captain Jinwoo Choi had anticipated this move. His squadron had positioned themselves between the alien fleet and the hyperspace jump point, cutting off their escape route. All human fighters, this is Phantom Leader, he transmitted. The aliens are trying to retreat. Do not let any ship escape. Earth's location must remain secret. The human pilots responded immediately, accelerating to intercept the fleeing alien ships. At the same time, energy beams from Earth's orbital platforms began reaching across space to strike the alien fleet. The first beam hit the damaged battleship Iron Fist, cutting it in half with surgical precision. The second beam destroyed 2 destroyers that were flying close together. Within minutes, the orbital platforms were systematically destroying every alien ship they could target. Admiral Krellmoss watched his fleet die around him as human weapons tore through ship after ship. In 300 years of conquest, he had never imagined that the mighty Valdorian Empire could be defeated so completely by any enemy. Admiral, our hyperspace engines are damaged, Commander Veclon reported. We cannot escape. Admiral Krellmoss looked at his tactical display one final time. Of his original 200 ships, only a handful were still functional, and human fighters were hunting them down one by one. The species he had come to conquer had turned into his executioners. Captain Jinwoo Choi's fighter appeared directly in front of the alien flagship's main viewing window. For a moment, Admiral Krellmoss could see the human pilot looking back at him through the transparent barrier between them. Then Captain Choi fired his last torpedo. The quantum warhead punched through the flagship's weakened armor and detonated inside the ship's main reactor. The explosion consumed the Destroyer of Worlds in seconds, killing Admiral Krellmoss and his crew of 2,000 before they could send any final message to their empire. The last few alien ships tried desperately to escape, but they were damaged and outnumbered. Human fighters hunted them through the outer solar system like wolves chasing wounded prey. One by one, every remaining alien vessel was found and destroyed. Captain Soo-Young Lee destroyed the final enemy ship, a small scout vessel that had been trying to hide behind an asteroid. Her torpedo strike eliminated the last trace of the Valdorian invasion force. Geneva Command, this is Phantom Leader, Captain Choi reported. All enemy vessels have been destroyed. No survivors detected. In the command center beneath Geneva, President Min-Soo Kim looked at the tactical display showing the complete destruction of the alien fleet. 200 ships and over 100,000 aliens had been eliminated in less than 4 hours. Casualties? He asked. 4 human fighters damaged, no pilots killed, General Martinez reported with satisfaction. Dr. Sunmi Jang, who had been monitoring alien communications throughout the battle, looked up from her equipment. "Mr. President, I intercepted some final transmissions from the alien ships. They were trying to send warning messages to their empire, but all communications were cut off before any signals could escape our solar system." President Min-Soo Kim nodded with grim satisfaction. The Valdorian Empire would eventually wonder what had happened to their conquest fleet, but they would have no information about Earth's true capabilities. Humanity's secret was still safe, but now came the most important decision of all. What should Earth do next? The silence in the secret command center beneath Geneva was profound. President Min-Soo Kim stood before the tactical display that showed empty space where 200 alien warships had been just hours before. The debris field stretched across millions of kilometers, all that remained of the Valdorian Empire's 47th Conquest Fleet. "Mr. President," General Martinez said quietly, "we need to decide what happens next." President Min-Soo Kim looked around. The room at the faces of Earth's leaders. They had just won the most important battle in human history, but victory brought new challenges. The Valdorian Empire would eventually notice that their fleet had disappeared. When that happened, they might send a larger force, or they might decide that Earth was too dangerous to attack. "What are our options?" he asked. Dr. Hyejin Lee spoke first. "We could hide what happened here, clean up the debris, destroy the evidence, and hope the aliens think their fleet was lost to some natural disaster. That might work for a while," General Martinez agreed. "But eventually they would send scouts to investigate. When they found no trace of their ships or any conquered human civilization, they would know something was wrong." Dr. Sunmi Jang looked up from her translation equipment. "I have been studying the alien communications we intercepted. The Valdorian Empire has conquered over 1,000 worlds. They rule through fear and overwhelming force. If we hide from them, they will eventually find us and come back with a larger fleet." President Min-Soo Kim walked to the window that showed the stars above Geneva. Somewhere out there, the Valdorian Empire controlled vast sections of the galaxy, ruling over countless species that had been conquered or enslaved. Earth had just proven that humans could fight back. But what should they do with that power? "There is another option," he said slowly. "We could send them a message." The room fell silent as everyone considered what that might mean. "What kind of message?" General Martinez asked. President Min-Soo Kim turned back to face the group. "A message that tells them exactly what happened to their fleet. A message that warns them never to threaten Earth again. A message that announces humanity's arrival on the galactic stage." Dr. Hyejin Lee looked worried. "Mr. President, that would be very dangerous. If we reveal our capabilities, they might send their entire fleet to destroy us." "Or," President Min-Soo Kim replied, "they might decide that Earth is too dangerous to attack and leave us alone." Captain Jin Woo Choi's voice came through the communication system from his fighter, still patrolling the edge of the solar system. "Geneva Command, this is Phantom Leader. My pilots and I vote for sending the message. These aliens came here to kill our families. Let them know that was a mistake." Other voices joined in from around the world. Military commanders, scientists, and government leaders all expressed their opinions. The debate continued for 2 hours before President Min-Soo Kim called for a final vote. The decision was unanimous. Earth would send a message to the Valdorian Empire. Dr. Sunmi Jang worked through the night to prepare the transmission. Using communication equipment recovered from the destroyed alien ships, she crafted a message in perfect Valdorian that would be impossible to ignore or misunderstand. The message was simple and direct. To the Valdorian Empire, your 47th conquest, fleet, commanded by Admiral Krell Moss, came to our world planning to conquer or destroy our civilization. All 200 ships have been eliminated. All crew members are dead. This was not luck, and it was not an accident. We have studied your technology for decades and improved it beyond your current capabilities. Earth is defended by weapons you cannot match and pilots you cannot defeat. If you send another fleet to our world, it will meet the same fate. If you attempt to harm any human anywhere in the galaxy, we will bring this war to your homeworlds. We are humanity. We are Earth. We do not surrender. We do not retreat. And we do not forgive threats to our people. Consider this your only warning. The message was transmitted on all Valdorian military frequencies using their own communication protocols. It would reach the Empire's capital in approximately 6 months, giving them time to consider Earth's capabilities and decide how to respond. But the message to the Valdorian Empire was not the only communication Earth sent that day. Dr. Dongyun Park, monitoring space from his observatory in Seoul, detected something unexpected. Other alien signals were being transmitted near Earth, but these were different from the Valdorian communications. These signals seemed to be coming from ships that were observing the battle but not participating. "Mr. President," he reported, "to the command center, we are receiving communications from unknown alien vessels. They appear to have been watching our fight with the Valdorians." Dr. Sunmi Jang quickly worked to translate the new signals. What she found surprised everyone. "These are not Valdorian ships," she announced. "They are from something called the Free Worlds Alliance. They are refugees from Valdorian conquest who have been hiding in this region of space." The alien message was very different from the Valdorian threats. "People of Earth, we are representatives of the Free Worlds Alliance, survivors of civilizations conquered by the Valdorian Empire. We witnessed your battle against the Valdorian fleet and wish to express our amazement at your victory. No species has ever defeated a Valdorian conquest fleet so completely. We would like to establish peaceful contact and discuss the possibility of cooperation against our common enemy. We offer friendship, trade, and shared knowledge in the fight against tyranny." President Min-Soo Kim looked at this new message with interest. Earth had revealed itself as a military power, but now they had the opportunity to become something more, the leader of a galactic alliance against oppression. "Send a reply," he ordered. "Tell them that Earth is interested in peaceful contact and cooperation." The response led to humanity's first friendly alien contact 3 days later, when ships from the Free Worlds Alliance entered Earth's solar system under careful human escort. The aliens who emerged from those ships were refugees from a dozen different worlds, all united by their hatred of Valdorian oppression. Captain Jin-Woo Choi personally escorted the alien diplomats to Earth, his fighter squadron serving as an honor guard that demonstrated both respect and strength. The aliens were amazed by human technology and impressed by the skill of human pilots. The negotiations that followed established Earth as the military leader of the Free Worlds Alliance. In exchange for human protection and weapons technology, the refugee civilizations offered knowledge of galactic politics, trade routes, and scientific discoveries. 6 months later, when Earth's message reached the Valdorian capital, Emperor Thexvar convened an emergency session of his war council. The message was played in the crystal dome of the Imperial Palace, and the Emperor's reaction was immediate and violent. "Impossible!" he roared, his voice shaking the palace walls. "No primitive species could destroy 200 of our best ships." But General Vextar had studied the message carefully. "My lord, the humans used our own communication protocols and language perfectly. They know details about Admiral Krellmoss and his fleet that only survivors could know. I believe their claims are true." Emperor Thexavar paced around his throne room like a caged beast. For the first time in the Empire's history, one of their conquest fleets had been completely destroyed. Worse, the species that had done it was threatening to bring war to Valdorian homeworlds. What do our war computers say about attacking this? "Earth again," he demanded. Minister Kelnoth checked his data tablets with trembling hands. "My lord, if the humans truly have improved our technology as they claim, sending another fleet might result in even greater losses. The computers recommend caution." The word hung in the air like a curse. The mighty Valdorian Empire was being advised to show caution when dealing with a species they had planned to conquer in a single day. "Double the border patrols in that region of space," the Emperor finally ordered. "But do not approach the human solar system. We will watch them and learn more before deciding our next move." As the months passed, Valdorian scouts reported increasing activity in the region around Earth. Ships from the Free Worlds Alliance were gathering there, and new technologies were spreading among the refugee civilizations. The humans were not just defending themselves. They were building an alliance that could challenge Valdorian dominance. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Jinwoo Choi stood in the new orbital command station that had been built to coordinate humanity's expanding role in galactic affairs. Through the station's viewing windows, he could see ships from a dozen different alien civilizations docked at human spaceports. "Phantom Leader, this is Earth Control," came a voice in his earpiece. "We have a new mission for you." Captain Choi activated his communication system. "Earth Control, this is Phantom Leader. Ready for orders." "Long-range sensors have detected Valdorian scout ships testing the borders of Alliance space. You and your squadron are authorized to discourage their activities." Captain Choi smiled as he walked toward his fighter. Phantom 1 had been upgraded with the latest human-alien hybrid technology, making it even faster and more deadly than the ship that had helped destroy the Valdorian fleet. "Understood, Earth Control. Phantom Wing is launching."